All right, guys, about that time. Chris Brooks here, the Gridiron Show. Happy to be with you guys here tonight. Yeah, I'm throwing off a little bit because the sound on that mixer just went the wrong direction. But if you were in my studio right now, you'd hear the great intro music playing on the Beats Peel here. But that's okay. The show brought to you by Capital Ortho. It's capitalortho.com. We're in the Soundcom studios. That's soundcomav.com. Soundcomav.com. The show also brought to you by our friends at Country Please and Country Meat Packers down in Florence. Make sure you get down there and see them. I'm throwing for a loop here to start this for a little bit, but it'll be okay. Also, the show brought to you by the Rogue and Jackson. All the clothes you're going to see on me this year, which I have found my favorite shirt of all time. Yeah, I had a coat on earlier today. If you were watching our pregame show. And I tell you what, I actually forgot one thing too. I'm going to grab here in just a minute. I literally just ran in the house and jumped on the podcast. But the show brought to you by Malone Roofing, ecmalone.com. But good show for you today. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. 1 second. I can't forget that. One of my favorite hats from Capital Ortho. It's capitalortho.com. Capitalortho.com. This is one of my favorite hats. The only good thing about streaming here is look, I can look into the camera and the light up there, put my hat on, make sure it's fitted properly. But I just ran into the house from Brandon, Mississippi to hop on this podcast. Now listen, I am discovering scores with you. Okay. If you have scores, you see on your screen right there in front of you, you can shoot them to me. Either reply on Twitter X, as I call it, or on Facebook. And as you reply, I'm looking at the screen right in front of me. If I look down, I'm trying to pick up some things here in front of me. But as you reply to what we're doing here, you can send the scores in. So anyway, also top performers. If you have top performers from around the state tonight, be sure to drop that in there or drop me a message to let me know how your team did. But I'm going through a few of those scores and a couple of things stick out to me. First of all, let me get to the games that I covered tonight and how bad my picks were to get this started. I had a chance to check out Hartfield and Columbia. Left there, stopped by Northwest Rankin. Excuse me, nose itches. And then left there to run out to Brandon and see what was going on with the Bulldogs and with Tupelo. And man, I had a full night. First, starting off with the Hartfield Northwest Rankin game. Hartfield and Columbia game. I was getting messages after I left. Hartfield ends up losing that game, I believe, 22-21. That's in the fourth quarter. And that was a competitive game, went back and forth. Hartfield was down early. Columbia, of course, Chip Bilderback is back as the head coach. And they did a great job right out of the gate. Yeah, I thought you'd like that, Real C. Collins. It's come a long way, except I'm running into some issues with some other stuff, but that's okay. Hey, look, this is the first Friday night. So if we have issues, I'm just going to chalk it up to technical difficulties. But Hartfield goes down 22-21. I believe that's a final. And I'm looking here. Like I said, I'm going to be pulling some of these scores off the internet. You'll get reaction from me on the fly. A couple of things. For one, as I still try to get my stuff together, big win for Clinton tonight over Warren Central. A lot of people wrote off Clinton to start the year, but they put on an impressive performance. I saw that score. They won big. Columbia looked good when I was there with Hartfield, but I'm not surprised that came down to the fourth quarter, came down to the end of it. Northwest Rankin pulls off it is a surprising win. I'm close to a lot of people out at Northwest Rankin, and not going to lie to you, yeah, I'm surprised at that score. They win over Germantown. Germantown is a team that we had in our top 10. And again, this isn't a case of I'm able to prep before we come on the show here. I ran in from covering the game out at Brandon, and we'll get to Brandon and Tupelo here in just a second. But run in here and fire this up because I don't want it to be too late. Told you I'd try to get on here at 10, and we ran a little bit late, but that's okay. But I do want to get to the Northwest Rankin game. That score was, if I can find exactly what it was. Real C, if you need any help in other locations, Central Simply, I'm your guy. How about that? You're just chilling, man. If y'all don't know Real C Collins, he's pretty much a local legend here in the Central Mississippi area. I think that's how he would tell you. Maybe minor celebrity. Is he moving on into that territory? Possibly. Maybe real minor. The only difference in the broadcast tonight, if you're watching it, used to the Periscope. Remember when we did that? We did the Periscope back in the day, and those of you know Jake Wimberly is a close friend of mine, and he would do the Periscope from the back of his house, and of course Jake has the huge hair, so the Periscope was a thing there for a little bit. The only thing when you did that, you had this constant scrolling. Anybody that jumped in, they just immediately fired off some type of message, and that was rapid fire. And people only jumped in there to send you messages. That was a lot of fun. So we'll see what we can turn this into. But Northwest Rankin, see if I can find that final score. I'm looking here. Leak Academy beats Simpson Academy 29-26. And I'm going to run through these real quick here if I can. Final score out with Brandon and Tupelo. That's according to your boy Jake Wimberly. I left with a minute to go, so couldn't get the exact finals. 36-15. Tupelo is going to be very difficult for somebody to beat. They're big. They're physical. They didn't have a quarterback tonight. So what they did, they played J.J. Hill at quarterback. So when they do that, you've got this huge future SEC running back, not under center, but, in a little shotgun formation. And he's running one way. These other two backs that they have that are going to be SEC football players, they're going the other way. And it's going to be very difficult for people to stop. I'm looking at a few more of these scores here. Picayune ends up getting a win. What was the final there? This is from Talking Ball, y'all, the Picayune podcast, if you followed it. Picayune gets a big win, 31-28 over Gulfport. Like, even though it's right out of the gate and it's the first full Friday of the year, yeah, I'm going ahead and I'm picking up some things from it. It's not everything because you don't really know who's good yet. All you know are the preseason prognostications, and you think you know something, but not necessarily. But like for the Northwest Rankin game, I think Germantown's a good team. And for Northwest to win that game, that was at home. That's a big one. For Brandon, the people that see that score and write off the Brandon Bulldogs, let me tell you what happened in that game. Yeah, for a half, it was close. They had difficulty moving the football, Brandon, that is. And in the second half, you had a couple of, I don't mean, if you're a Tupelo fan, I don't mean to make this sound bad, but you have somewhat of a couple of fluke plays. Not fluke plays, that's the wrong way. They have a couple pick sixes. Those aren't flukes. You do that. But the Brandon quarterback, Sladen Shack, had a rough time in the second half. He's picked off a couple of times. Ball goes the other way. There's a muffed punt from Brandon early that set up a touchdown. So immediately, you're talking 21 points, and then that thing gets out of hand. That was a defensive game up until that. The Brandon defense, to me, looked better, looked significantly better than it's been. I thought they played well against an offense that was really big and really physical. I thought the Brandon defense looked good for most of that game. Offensively, they couldn't do anything. But I think when we look back on the year, you're going to realize that Tupelo is really where you should give that credit rather than saying one unit is not playing well. Tupelo is going to do that to everybody this year. Defensively, they are stout, and teams are going to have a problem um, putting up points on the Gold Wave. If you have any, like I said, anybody that has scores or you have any top performers, make sure you get those to me. I'm just scrolling through X. I'm going to get all of this to you as fast as I can. It'd be nice to get in here a little bit earlier and to give you some of this so I'm prepared before we hop on here. The final score with Northwest Rankin was 24-17 over Germantown. And at least when I was there, Germantown had opportunities, move the football, couple fourth downs. They came up short in the second half, and Northwest Rankin, they made plays. As simple as that. Northwest Rankin has some guys. Now they're not very big on either side of the football. Defensively, I think they're a little better than people are going to give them credit. But that's a huge win for Devin Cooper and Northwest Rankin. Real see, yeah, Starkville, a major problem for North Mississippi. Listen, Coach Carr comes out blazing. Coach Carr, from what I understand at Clinton last year, is a very good coach. And of course, the Starkville job opens up, and he jumps on that. There's a lot going on in Starkville with not just him, but Jay Hobson is the athletic director. Situation to where they bring in a countywide SID that was at Jacksonville State. I know him because my son's out there at Jack State, and they're doing a lot of good things with the school there. By the way, I saw Chris Jones, your former coach from Starkville. I had a chance to talk to him tonight. He was out recruiting at the Hartfield and Columbia game. But the quarterback in particular, Real C, Kingston Johnson, had a couple of people I respect. One I really respect who has told me that kid's going to end up the best quarterback in the state, and I have no reason to doubt it. Biloxi, who did they play tonight? It just has the logo. Biloxi went down 33-30. MRA, a big winner over JDC, Jefferson Davis County. That was a 47-6 game, and I kind of expected that game to go like that. Sam Stockett throws for 292 and 2 touchdowns, had a huge night. Kay Thomas had a big night, wide receiver from MRA. I'm scrolling through here, see what else we have here in terms of scores tonight that we could go over. There was another top 10 that I wanted to get in. The Germantown one is a big one. Appreciate that, Real C. I see what you put on X. The final score from Clinton was 45-13 over Warren Central. That's a Warren Central team that we had ranked high in the preseason, and a team that I think is going to be good. Tupelo, of course, with theirs. Big road win for them. Choctaw County beats East Webster. East Webster is a very good football team. Choctaw County has a chance to get back to a state championship game and win it again. Of course, they won last year over Noxubee County, but they have a chance tonight to win that one. A couple others here real quick as I'm just scrolling through here. I wanted to see a couple of these other top 10 games to see who won. MRA big over JDC. Heidelberg comes up short, which they lost 44-22, but to stay in that game like that's 2A versus a 3A. Noxubee County picks up a 44-32 win over Heidelberg. A few others here before. We're not going to be real long tonight. This is more or less just kind of a rough draft of a show. Wanted to get things kicked off, and we'll fire this stuff up during the week as we preview games next week. But wanted to give this just kind of a soft run. Didn't really promote that we're doing a huge show tonight or anything like that, but We'll get on to it for next week. A couple other of these. Look, and while I'm thinking of it, and I don't know why I can't come up with scores here. While I'm thinking about it, Wednesday, I will be doing the Matt Wyatt show. That's from 12 to 2 on ESPN Radio 1059 The Zone in Jackson. So make sure you tune in for that. Looking forward to doing that for Matt. He's such a good dude. And I am about to dive into this stuff and track down all of these scores. Tri-County, a big winner tonight, 46-0. Of course, I pull up Germantown there as they fall to Northwest Rankin at Northwest Rankin. I swear, X works a little bit differently than it did in the past. I wonder sometimes if I'm not seeing all this on my feed. Some of the numbers from the night, from the Brandon Tupelo game that I wanted to give out. Not trying to cover for Brandon, but if you're trying to get a good picture of what happened in that game, Tupelo blows them out 36-15. The total yards, Brandon ends up with 297 and Tupelo has 260. So Brandon actually gets more. And real see, I'm looking for the JA score right now. For some reason, I can't find it anywhere. That's actually what I'm looking for. So Brandon outgains Tupelo 290. What did I say? 297 to 260. But of course, when you're picking up pick sixes and you're scoring on defense, your offense isn't out there a whole lot. McGee picks up a big win over Mount Olive, 16-0. I want to see the Madison Central score too. That's another one I'm looking for. And for some reason, I am scrolling through here and I am not seeing anything. But we're about to find out here in just a second. Let me try something. Big win for Pascagoula on the road. Wow, that's a good one for Lewis Sims. Has done a great job at Pascagoula, but this is probably the best team that he's had. West Point beats Louisville 9-7. Appreciate whoever texted that to me. That's two good football teams again. West Point is in all likelihood that's the favorite in 5A right now. And then if you go up to Louisville, that's a favorite in their classification too. So two good football teams, expected that to be close. Oak Grove and Starkville. The final score there, I know Oak Grove won. I'm guessing they won 46-40. I don't see a final on that. Let me tell y'all something. I'm going to go ahead and make a mental note of this. Next week, I will be getting the scores before I hop on here because I just assumed on Twitter X I remember you could come on here and every score is right there in front of you. And for some reason, I am digging around and I'm not seeing nearly as many as I expected here. So next week, we'll do that first. And also, we'll be providing those scores for you on X before we hop on the show, if they're going to be this difficult to track down. Because, like, I cannot find that JA score anywhere. But we're going to get that before I get off here. We are going to find the Madison Central game, and we're going to find the JA game, if it's the last thing I do here. So bear with me. All right, I'm going to get off here and find this. A couple of things real quick. Next week, track these scores down. Next week, we'll be doing something live every day, 10 o'clock every morning. Not Monday, Labor Day. We'll be taking that off. But we will be hopping on here to do a live show 10 o'clock in the morning like we used to. Planning on knocking that out. And then next week, we'll do a pregame show that'll fire up at 5 o'clock, probably 30 minutes or so. Knock that out. And then afterwards, we'll do a scoreboard show on Friday nights, as I still wrestle with a few of these things anyway. New equipment here, new stream, a lot going on here. But anyway, look, that's the scores for tonight. Appreciate everybody listening. Y'all enjoy college football tomorrow. Real C, appreciate you, man. And hopefully everybody gets safely at the house. But appreciate it. Y'all have a good week, and